Hello, my fellow Americans. 'Tis I, the Rumple-One. Those of you who've been watching my videos know I'm a prepper. And you know I also talk about politics and a few other things. Last night here in Mayberry, there was a meeting. Bunch of the, I guess call them school moms, parents with, kids in the school got together because, see, here on the western coast, western coast of Oregon, southwestern coast of Oregon, we live in an area that's really nice. I mean, when you look at what's happened to the rest of the country, fire, floods, mudslides, tornadoes, hurricanes, just devastation, freezes. I mean, we've been lucky. We haven't had anything like that happen here in decades. But about 100 miles west of here, offshore, there's a subduction zone. It's called the Cascadia. What's happening is that we've got the North American plate, and then we've got this other plate, the Cascadia, that's running. Actually, it's the Juan de Fuca plate that's going under the land. And you see, when it goes under, it just doesn't go under. It grabs and it pushes and it builds this up. And sooner or later, it's going to release. And when it releases, it drops. And when it drops in the ocean. And all the water goes down. And then it comes back up. Well, what's going to happen is when that releases, we're going to get an earthquake. We're not going to get like the California earthquake where the plates slide side to side. Oh no, we're going to get the subduction type of earthquake. And those earthquakes usually start at about 9.0. And then they go up from there. The megaquake. Well, what these school moms were getting together is that the school board just can't seem to realize that where the schools sit here in Mayberry, they're in the inundation zone. And that's the zone where all the water comes up and inundates the land. In other words, it gets covered. So, when you think about it, we got an earthquake that's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. Now we also have something that's going to happen called, this big tsunami, this surge of water. You put those two things together, you don't want to have a school in that location. But the school board just can't seem to grasp that fact. See, the parents want to move the school. But for some strange reason, and it's beyond my mental capacity to figure it out, the school board's kind of saying, no, we need to study this more. No, we need more facts. Well, the government is using state-of-the-art LiDAR to map the area. They say this is not a good location. We've had structural engineers view the building, the elementary school, and says, during a quake, there's about 100% chance this thing's just going to collapse. That's right, just going to collapse. Well, if there's kids inside, do I have to continue, or do you understand what's going to happen next? Well, during this video, or during this meeting last night, they showed a YouTube video about the children of Japan during the tsunami. And it's one of those gut-wrenching, tear-jerking things when you see parents, they come to this meeting, and there's one teacher out of 14 survived. And in Japan, he gets up and he's bowing down, and he's really sad because for him to survive while the kids died is kind of a disgrace. And this one guy gets up there with this muddy shoe. He goes, "This is all that's left of my daughter. Why did this happen?" And the government officials are sitting there with their head down and no answer. Well, you see, here in Mayberry, it doesn't have to happen. Because as I'm making this video, we could get hit with the earthquake. We don't know when it's going to happen. If it doesn't happen today, it could happen tomorrow. It might not happen for 100 and some years, but the point is, we know it's going to happen. So let's do something ahead of time instead of having to have a meeting explaining to the parents why their kids died in a building that collapsed, that they knew in the first place had a possibility of collapse, but for some strange reason they couldn't take the action and move the school. Once again, it's just beyond me. I mean, once again, this is state-of-the-art scientific research. You know, it's just not somebody shooting from the hip. They even put out this brochure. This is 2 years old, published in 2012. And it says, Aftermath, Learning from the Disaster in Japan. Right here on page 9. Listen to this. It says, mitigate, replace, or repurpose important facilities at high risk, such as schools, especially those on weak soils prone to liquefaction, landslides, or amplification, or in tsunami zones. It's that simple. This comes from the Oregon Department of Geology and Mineral Industries. Now, the school board, I guess, thinks that they can find some consultant that's going to tell these guys they're wrong. Now, you know, I have little faith in the government in general. But some of their scientific research is pretty good. And I think that the Oregon Department of Geology and Mineral Industries is actually the world's leading organization on this. I mean, I think they work with the two universities, the U of O and OSU here, and they're known worldwide. I mean, they've gone out and once again they use LIDAR for the land, they've used sonar for the ocean. I think they've got their you-know-what together here. But for these pinheads in Oregon, in Mayberry here, to sit here and say, well, we don't have all the facts, because this is what one school board member said last night. Well, we're waiting for more facts. And I sat there and I listened to what he had to say, and I turned around, and I looked at the audience, and I said, what facts are you waiting for? Well, we're waiting to get more. I go, what more do you need to know that the kids are at risk? I'm not speaking for these people here, but I think if you ask them all, they don't want to send their kids to these buildings anymore. What more information do you need? Why are you going to put the children at risk? Do you want to have that meeting where the parents come in and you're talking about the dead kids because you failed to act, you failed to be proactive? What benefit is there keeping the kids in those schools in the inundation zone? It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. Like I said, it's beyond my mental facilities and capabilities to understand their reasoning, their logic. What am I missing? I mean, this is serious stuff. I asked, some guy said that they could get these modular classrooms. I said, how much need? We're talking maybe a couple $1 million. I mean, they're building a building up north to house old railroad cars. I think the cost is somewhere between 10 and 13 million. If they can find the money for that, surely they can find a couple $1 million to put up some modular units to get the kids out of an inundation zone or possible inundation zone. I mean, it's just ridiculous. You know, they can find millions of dollars for art that nobody really cares about, but we can't put the kids in the building? I mean, come on. This is just so ridiculous. This is probably maybe the worst example that I've ever seen of government officials just blowing it. Just in my entire life. I can't fathom how they can do this. And they sit there and they say, well, we've got our kids and grandkids in the school. I don't know. I'm flabbergasted. I just don't understand this. And maybe somebody out there watching this video can explain it to me, because I'm at a loss. And all I got to say is, my fellow Americans, it's time to wake up. It's just time to wake up. This isn't even about tyranny. It's just time to wake up and make these government officials responsible. And if you see that they're at this level, that they can't make come up with the right answer, the right solution for this problem that's so simple, so common sense, then they need to be recalled and thrown out of office.